Okay, the instrument has two modes of data logging. One is standby logging, which is just the normal operation of the instrument with set points on individual control loops. And when this little clapper board is active, you get the notation here, standby logging, and it will start logging as long as this condition and this icon are set. It's actually creating a log file on the instrument at this time with a date stamp, so that you can use this method to troubleshoot the furnace, for example, check your tuning, overshoots on any particular loop, and that will record all the parameters that are configured on the instrument. While in standby mode, you can go to the chart and set up the individual parameters that are of interest. For example, here I have probe temperature, furnace set point, and probe millivolts. I'm going to set that as my default, and I have a recording interval of 5 seconds. And it's going to start recording the parameters that I've selected, although it is actively recording all of the parameters that are configured in the instrument. So if you wanted to go back and select something else, for example, the carbon value, for example, you can go back into the data log file and modify it by selecting % carbon. I'm going to end this session here, and we're going to go look at other log files. Here's the file I just stopped, and I have two other previous ones that I can use. There's an example of the 3 parameters that I had selected previously, but like I said, I can also go back and say select something else, and it will automatically add the carbon as a second or a third trace here on the screen. Realistically, looking at 6 pins on the screen is probably practical. If necessary, you can generate multiple reports out of this with different parameters. Each parameter can be assigned either a right or left axis, which allows more convenient scaling here, so that you don't have one parameter driving the other one into the bottom of the chart. And you can also modify the pins, the size of the pins, the colors, and so on, so it's completely configurable. The other logging mode for the instrument is while a recipe is running, and that creates a different kind of file similar to what we just looked at, but it creates a job file. So what we're going to do here is start a recipe by clicking on that green stoplight. It comes up and allows us to enter shop order numbers, load numbers, part numbers, whichever is convenient for your particular application. These values or these fields can be populated with a bar chart or barcode reader, as well as just the keyboard here that's available. I'm going to select recipe 1, and I'm going to start this job. Now the prompt here on the instrument is job 4 started, recipe 1. It indicates that this is program 1. I'm on step 2 of 13 steps. And if I want to see what that is, I can go in and look at the recipe that's actively running. Right now, I'm waiting for a temperature of 865. So if I pop out of the editor here, I can look at what my conditions are here on the furnace at that particular time, and it will sit on this step until those conditions are met. So we're going to artificially qualify this step in the recipe. Okay, we've met the requirements here, and I'm now testing, or I've actually started a soak now on step 7. And if I want to go look to see where we're at, it's 10 hours. And I also changed my carbon set point here as well. So let's go back and look at my carbon loop. I'm going to click on the carbon tab here, and it's telling me I've got a set point of 1.2 with an actual of 0.59, and we can help that value out here as well. And I'm data logging this during the entire recipe process here. Now, it's possible to edit the soak times or remaining times of the recipe. It doesn't change the stored recipe, but it allows the operator to manage the soak times if it's a rework, or if something else is going on in the furnace where you have to shorten the time or increase the time. What we're going to do is shorten the time. And I can go into the recipe editor mode here and click on the hours. I'm going to change this to 0 hours and 2 minutes. And it will automatically. Now this isn't changing the recipe on record here, it's just changing the current process. So you can see that my time has been altered as a result of that editing. And this step will end here in 10 seconds. Where am I going next? We can look at the recipe. I'm changing my set point, I'm going into a 7-hour segment, and so on. Now at any time I can hold the recipe. If I put it in hold mode, it's going to actually make a notation in the log that at this point in the recipe I went to a hold mode. I can come out of hold mode, or I can terminate the recipe. So in this example, I'm just going to stop it. Clicking on the red stoplight icon here, it's going to ask me if I really want it, and I say yes. The notation comes up that the job is being aborted, and as soon as this clears, the instrument will return to standby mode. Now what remains in terms of the control on each individual loop is the last set point that was set in the recipe. There's no pre-configured standby set point. This operates similar to the other instruments that Marathon has produced in the past. So that's just a basic behavior. So we have created now, following job 4 here, a record of that run, and here it shows up as file name 4, which is the job number. And if I open that, I have a record of everything that happened in that particular recipe at that up to the point where I actually stopped it. So those are the 2 recording modes in the PT455. Standby mode for troubleshooting purposes, and the data logging function for any recipe that's started. Thank you.